Hi peeps, so we're back in the van again today. Today, I'm trying to trace the wires for that back fan so I can put a switch down there by where the bed's going to go. Let's go outside and I'll show you where I've managed to trace the wires. They're up there. I'm going to take you up this precariously placed ladder. I'm going to turn it out. I bloody hate heights. I'm 6'3" and I hate heights. Right, these are the two wires. I have to take off the alleyway light to get to this. Amp clamp on it. 4, 5. It's not very good with DC, this amp clamp, it's an AC. It always reads 1. So, now I can break into these two wires, run them down the inside of this cupboard, which I will show you now. I can take them down through the roof up there, through that hole, across into that corner there, which I think you can see. The sun's right in my eyes and I can't see a thing on the screen. I can then run that all the way down the inside of that cupboard until it comes out here, which is the roof lighting switch for the Phoenix system. I can have the switch here, it can come through this panel, or maybe over this side, I'm not really sure yet. So I can switch it and reverse the fan over the bed. And that has taken me 2 hours of tracing wiring. I've had every single light out down here. That one's on because I'm going to put that one back in and make sure I wire it up right. But it's taken me, as I say, 2.5 hours. I had to strip out all the roof of that cupboard. I've had to strip out all the panels in the back because that wiring, let's turn that off, it's a bit noisy now, what I've found now. This wiring goes off at this weird angle. It doesn't go sideways, it goes off at that angle. And then for some reason it turns round and goes back that way. So it goes that way to start with, and then inside the roof up here, it turns round and goes that way and actually joins the main wiring loom over here. Why they didn't drill a hole there, I don't know. If they drilled a hole there, I'd have known which way it ran. Because they drilled the hole there at that angle, I thought it was going off down the back, hence stripping all this off. For no bleeding reason. But as I said before, I knew I was going to have to work around issues, and work around them I am. Boy, am I working around them. I've cut access holes, I've done all sorts. Also got some more insulation done up in the, this is all insulated around this entire area. All the way across there, all the way across there. That's insulated. I've insulated in here, taped the wires back. That section's all insulated. I've put insulation up there. The sun's playing havoc with the tape, so I'm not going to bother. But inside these little sections here and here, I've put silver tape up as much as I can. I've sort of put it up and then run this with this rounded end through that hole to try and stick it up to the roof. You saw me doing it yesterday at that end, didn't you? It made an horrible squeaking noise. So we're getting there. This whole side of the roof now is now insulated. Once I put these two once I put this section in and this section in, the whole of that roof is double insulated. Silver back neoprene followed by the recycled bottles. The centre of the roof, as you can see, it's got a bit of a bulge, is insulated from here over to there. It's only actually this side of the roof that isn't insulated, but if you look up in, back up the ladder again, if you look up inside the roof, you'll notice that it is actually insulated, this side of the roof. Why that side wasn't, I don't know. So we've got the whole roof insulated. Right, now I've got to duplicate. Cheers. I've got to do precarious stuff up inside the roof, containing, well, mainly pertaining to me standing on top of this rickety ladder. 19 stone on a little ladder doesn't go very well. I'll catch you in a while, peeps. Ta-da. Just a little tip: when you're butt splicing wires like I am, yeah, I know, I like to sort of stagger them. It stops you having some. This part's melted down here. It'll be just as thin as this middle bit. If you stagger them like that, you don't have a big bulge in the cable when you slide your heat shrink over, because they're offset, instead of having two big lumps side by side, they'll lay flatter. I mean, these are quite thin butt splices, but if you use the ones like you plug together, it's always best to offset them like that. It just stops the join being in one position. I mean, this is now staggered. You've got one join there, one join there. So this wire's supporting that join, and this wire on this side supporting that join, if that makes any sense. Because this join is next to a wire, this wire will support this joint if it gets pulled, if that makes any sense whatsoever. It makes sense in my head, it doesn't always come across well to other people, unfortunately. But that's how I like to do it. I don't necessarily solder. I don't solder in cars. Solder joints always crack. Most of the resoldering I do on cars over the last 30 years has been resoldering cracked solder joints. They dry out, they shrink, vibrations, they crack, you need to resolder them. I would say 95% of all the soldering I've done on cars in the last 30 years has been redoing soldering. Mainly on VW door locks and BMW door locks. Mainly VW door locks actually. Mark 4, 5 and 6 Golf. And dashboards, which is why I don't solder, I crimp. If you get a decent crimp, like these are, because I'm using a decent ratchet crimper, they give just the right amount of pressure. These are Sombre, no idea. They're quite decent anyway, they give a nice strong crimp. But everybody's different. A lot of people I know like to solder, I don't. Solder doesn't take vibration very well. So that's why I do it. Anyway, I'm going to get back to you in a bit when I've done this wiring, because I've got to wire lots of wires. One to break into the wiring loom in the van, run down to the switch, to the control box, and one to run back up again. And I'll, when I've done all this, I'll get back to you and show you what I've done. See you in a bit. Ta-ra, peeps. Anyway, as you can see, that's the cable that goes into the feed. I've got one wire coming off of here, coming down into this cupboard with lots of slack, so I can put the switch this side, or if I change my mind I can put the switch this side. As soon as my head's going to be at this end, it'll probably be up here with the light switches. Everything will be up here somewhere. There'll be a box with switches for the Phoenix system, which I might actually put underneath the bed so I can use them from the work area. And the LED lights that I'll be using when camping will go on top, along with the controls. This, so I've now got to use both hands because I don't like being up a ladder. I'm going to heat shrink that down, and then I'm going to retrieve the two wires that go to the fan, and I'm going to crimp onto those and then run that down to here as well and terminate it at the switch so the fan can be controlled from here. Anyway peeps, back to when I'm finished. Okay, the final bit of extra strain relief. Two cable ties. I've got no idea if you can see this, my sunglasses have gone dark, but there's the two wires coming from the Phoenix system, two wires going to the motor. Now both fed off down here into the cupboard where I can pull them a little bit tighter, and finally take the loom back up inside there. Then at last I can put the light back on, which is up there on the roof, and then I think we're finished in this section. I'm going to put some cable ties around this and a bit of tape, and then I think we're done, and this side light can go back on for nearly the last time. Alright, I'll get back to you when I've wired up the other end of these wires and you can see the fan running from in this cupboard. Obviously the wires are going to go through to the inside of the van at some point, but not yet. See you in a bit peeps. Alright then peeps, finally. It's been a long hot day. I've had half the wiring loom apart, half the van apart, looking for these two bleeding wires. I've cut holes, I've took ceiling panels down. This is what you've got to expect if you buy an ambulance. Just keep that in mind. I think it's worth it. We're all wired up, everything's ready. I've got extra slack, I can move this wherever I want when the bed's in. But does it work? That's what you're all asking yourselves. Well, let's set you up on my tripod. Yes, I do own a tripod, I just don't use it very often. Can you see the roof fan? I think you can. Can't see me because I'm standing outside the door. Oh. I'll actually see it reverse direction. Being controlled from here.